me see if we are there. Thank you so much. Welcome. This is the Trumpet of Hope. I hope that we are together. I want to welcome our viewers wherever you are. This is the Trumpet of Hope, and I'm the captain. Karibuni sana. This is a very special program that we are having tonight. Already in the studio, yes, I have very special guests tonight, and we are going to have a full discussion. We are going to have a full debate, an informational program with the One Voice Consortium, yes, and this is in readiness to this great year 2022, and Happy New Year to all those we have not met. This is a very special year. In Kenya, it is an election year, and that is why there is so much going on everywhere. There is so much. If you have followed the news, you can know that the parliament is having a special sitting for the next 2 days. They started yesterday. They'll be meeting again today and tomorrow. That is the Kenyan time, so that they can discuss and they can pass new laws on the election and the parties, the political parties bill. And so far, so good. The only thing that we don't like is when we see them fighting. Yeah, when we see them fighting and insulting each other and discussing issues that are not very important to the Kenyan community as per now. I wish that these parliamentarians are sitting to discuss issues that will help us not only in this generation, but even in the next generation. So here we are. We're going to have a beautiful discussion. And if you want to join us, you can join us in this. If you have a very pressing issue or question, we'll give you an opportunity to call us and even ask your question and even maybe share your comment. So I'm not going to introduce my guests because they can actually be able to introduce themselves, and so moja kwa moja to mpaka studio B. Mary Wairimo, you can welcome your friends. Thank you so much, Mary Wairimo. I see Penny Pesh, asante sana. Remember my song? Yes, I will. Wangezi Rachel from Seattle, thank you so much. And if at all today is your first day, oh hey, welcome. Let me introduce to you a very special group with us here, brought to you by the Diaspora One Voice Consortium. This is a very special group, yeah, a very special group. Na kwa sababu ni mwaka mpya, and some of them we have even never met. We have never met. Yeah, I see Fiona, she'll introduce herself, and I see Dr. Sherry, he will introduce himself, and I see my big brother and my big friend, Professor Diangui. Huyu akiingia kwa nyumba mambo inakuwa mzuri. So welcome to the house. How are you?
How are you doing?
I am doing excellent. Karibuni sana. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Captain.
Happy New Year to you too.
Yes. I don't know where we are going to start. Let's start with our chairman, Dr. Shiri. Welcome us. This is New Year. Tell us a few things and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Captain, and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you and your family and your friends and your listeners who follow you very diligently around the world and what you're doing. Captain, we really appreciate you very much, and Trumpet of Hope, and this is a radio station and a channel that One Voice Consortium holds very, very dearly and very highly in what you do. One Voice Consortium is a member organization bringing together a lot of people in the diaspora. And I'm the president and founder for the Global Diaspora One Voice Consortium. And I'm based in Columbus, Ohio with my family. And as we always say, the objective and the goal of this One Voice Consortium is to inspire, improve, enhance the lifestyle and the livelihood of people in the diaspora and Kenyans back home. That is our goal, period. And to do that, we have many organizations, over 70 organizations right now, that are helping us achieve that goal in various sectors, in the education sector, in the governance sector, in the health sector, in the technology sector, in the economic sector, and so forth. And all these organizations are doing a sterling job wherever they are, in US, in Europe, in Asia, and even back in Africa. And we are so glad that the leaders of these organizations come together to plan what we are going to do for the diaspora. And in view of that, that is why we are also meeting here, because one of our sectors is the governance sector, and that is why we are actively being involved in helping IEBC, reach out to the diaspora community. So that's my intro, and I'm happy to be here, Captain. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Daktari, and the chairman and the founder of the Diaspora One Voice. Actually, we just simplify it and call it OVC. And we have Dr. Ndiangui, Professor Ndiangui from Florida. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you so much, Captain, and I'm so honored to be invited. It's always an honor to come to this forum. As you lightly mentioned, my name is Professor Peter Ndiangui. I teach in the College of Education in Florida Gulf Coast University in a town called Fort Myers, Florida. But I'm always very proud to say I am from Madakwaini village in Nyeri, along the mountain, and that's where my accent comes from, and that will never go. I've been here 25 years now, but remains. I am the director of operations in One Voice Consortium, OVC, as you rightly mentioned it. And I'm so honored that I'm in this forum, and we'll continue and learn a lot more about each other as we proceed.
Thank you so much. The most important part of our debate tonight is having and involving the youth. And tonight we are honored to have one of the organizers of the Youth Forum in OVC. So let us welcome our sister Fiona so that she can introduce herself and tell us what she does in One Voice and also more about herself.
Thank you so much, Mr. Captain. Can I call you Mr. Captain?
Yes, that is okay. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the platform. My name is Fiona Njerorai. I am based in Texas, and I am one of the youth league leaders. During the day, I work very hard and passionately with women who've gone through abuse. I run a boutique where I support women to build their identity, their self-esteem, and their image through clothing. And I'm very passionate about supporting women, empowering women. But then I'm also very passionate about the youth because I am a youth and I am a leader now and a future leader. And I love to see the youth empowered and taking on leadership roles in the community and in the society.
Thank you so much. It's nice to have you. And I was looking at your profile earlier, and I was like, wow, it's good to have such people, especially here in Texas. Thank you so much. Professor, I know you are key in the whole of this issue of the diaspora voter registration. Tell us how this started and how far you and what you did as OVC, as the person who was organizing. I know there was a time the IBC came for mapping in the US, and we heard they were here. We were involved in the Zoom meetings with them. And tell us a little bit about the background.
Thank you so much, Captain. And I'm honored that OVC asked me to share a number of meetings where we had the high-powered delegations from IEBC itself, the embassies, and other senior people, the director of civic education voter education in IEBC, and many other people. Now, as our president pointed out, we have come together as a very large group of people, very many organizations, more than 7 now, actually about going to 8 now. And we allow the freedom of each group to continue doing what it's doing. If it's Viona doing the work she's doing, and people doing education, people doing other issues, you continue doing what you're doing. But we have come together because from the old cliche, unity is strength. And so when we came together, it is always easier to have a point people to say, okay, can you organize this? So IBC started reaching out to us, or rather we started reaching out to each other. Long before the event came here, we started talking, and I was honored to be communicating with a number of commissioners, even ambassadors and the other people involved. I don't need to mention names here. So we arranged many areas where they can meet members of our groups. Whether it is in Germany, we met first as OVC, and then some of the people went to Germany. Other people went to the UK, and then they came here. We organized their meetings with the diaspora in Washington, D.C., then in New York and in LA. But I want to make it very clear here, Captain, and to every listener here. One Voice Consortium is not the only organization working with IEBC. We are just one of them. We're just one of them. I don't want anybody out there to assume that IEBC segregates and takes this group alone. It met many other groups, but the power we have of having 80 organizations, it was easier to work with us as they met other groups too, and even some other individuals too, they met. We have had very, very interesting conversations, and what we have tried to do is try to break those barriers that have always stopped. This is not new. The people in the diaspora have always fought for the right to vote. It is our right. In any democratic society, it is our right. Any restrictions, whether it is just because of where I live now, or other restrictions that were there before, gender, youth, anything, all those were there before. We are trying to break them. And I assure you, together, we will break them. That's why we are educating our people. That's why we are here tonight, to break any barrier that stops anybody exercising their freedom to choose who will govern them. That's where we are right now. We have had conversations, and you'll hear a little bit more about what you have presented, what is even being presented in Parliament on things that we raised in plenary sessions and others. We got some feedback, and you're going to get more. We're going to continue the dialogue. It is about dialogue, talking together.
Right now, we have a registration that is to be conducted from the 17th of January to the 31st of January. And according to the information that is going out, we will have the registration in Washington, D.C., and in New York, and also in L.A., here in the U.S. Somebody who is like me in Houston, Texas, or like Fiona who is in Dallas, Texas, flying all the way to these places will be a total sacrifice, and like somebody said, it is a good beginning. Professor, let's go to the chairman of Diaspora One Voice. Can you please expound on this registration and what it will entail?
Thank you, Captain.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Captain, for that question. In fact, I must say that, one of the concerns that even that we had, even before we met the IBC commissioners, was that we know that most of the Kenyans in US live in cities away from our embassy or even our consulates. So this issue of where Kenyans are is very, very important to us, because we want the participation to be as 100% as fully achieved as possible. But as you know, this became a running theme in every meeting that we had with the commissioners. So what we have done is to put together a petition or a resolution at the end of this mapping period to ask the IBC whether they can be able to consider petitioning Parliament or using their own internal election management powers to extend the registration to other cities. This is something that they are discussing right now. We don't know the outcome, but they will be able to let us know in good time whether this can be extended. But for the time being, we are following the constitution and the laws of the country, in that the registration that you just mentioned will be done in the embassies and in the consulate. Here in US, it's going to be in Washington, D.C., and our consulate in New York, and the one in on the West Coast in Los Angeles, California. Again, we are hoping that the process that will be put there at the embassy will make it available or possible for everyone who is able to get there to be registered as quickly as possible. So this is part of the information that we will be providing as soon as we get additional information to your listeners and viewers and the Kenyan diaspora. But suffice to say that we are hoping that the whole process will be easy and simple, and we continue even to appeal to Kenyans to take this as a part of their patriotism, to be able to see if they can still be able to travel, even if they can be able to travel in groups to wherever the registration centers will be, because this is one a civic duty that we all want to make sure that we are able to do.
Fiona, as a youth league leader and as a women issues champion, I don't know what your take is in the whole of this issue of voting and registering to vote.
I think it's commendable that, the government has finally considered Kenyans in diaspora to vote. I know it's just a beginning, and I know we have a long way to go. I think, though, it was also such a good opportunity for the IEBC team to come to diaspora and really humanize us and hear our issues, because, for instance, for us young people, a lot of us came to this country when we were very young. We don't have documents like the Kenyan ID. Some people may not have Kenyan passports. These are the required documents, or at least having a Kenyan passport is a required document to vote. Yet now with the new process, to have a Kenyan passport, you need to have a Kenyan ID. So it was good for the commissioner and other people in the team to hear our concerns with the registration timing being so limited for some people to sign up. I know it's a discussion on the table, but I think it was really good for them to come and actually hear these things, so that when next time, when they're considering the diaspora voting process, they're gonna actively include the diaspora voice prior to and not after, because I think with this mapping, a lot of things were already established, and so not so much can change. So I am excited for this opportunity, encouraging a lot of young people to consider voting if they have the required documents, which I think at some point we'll talk about. And as for women and the youth, we are just equally as empowered, and it feels good to be a part of building our country, despite the fact that we are away.
Thank you so much. I know you mentioned something about the documents that are supposed to be used, and looking at the current information that is out there, maybe Professor Ndiangui, you will expound on this, but as per now, it's about the Kenyan passport. I'm not sure whether many people have the Kenyan passport right now.
Actually, Captain, we are caught in a kind of dilemma. We've been fighting that we get this far. We have been given something. Voting, as the president said and Fiona said, we are voting at the centers, at the consulates and the embassies. Okay. But what about all those people, as you mentioned, Captain, in all the other places? America is is a large country. Now, we're moving methodically. We want to work with them, and we have built a great collaboration, and we are friendly to each other. And we are saying exactly there are issues here. First of all, no person should be seen to be discriminated against. For example, if a person living in Siaya or in Kilifi or in Nyeri or anywhere else can use the ID, so should the person in Texas or in Norway or in Alaska should be allowed the same documents. That's what we are saying. We're not asking for anything special. We are saying treat us like everybody else. If an ID is valid in Madakwaine village, it is valid in Tampa Bay. It is valid in Dallas. It's valid in Boston. That's what we are saying. It's that simple. Other than that, it's discriminatory. If you are saying the passport only and they have a reason to say that is the only document that sent you out, fine. Don't take away my ID, the power of the Kenyan ID. You are reducing it. So that's what we are saying, but we are very friendly. So that's very important. How do you identify me? If I don't have a passport, something happened, and I have the Kenyan ID, do I stop being a Kenyan? No. So give me a chance. There are a number of other issues. The registration. The Chairman Chebukati, when he was talking in London, said you said people to different places to register. And we in the United States here, we are saying, hello, if you're doing it in the UK, it's much easier to send one person or two people to register people in Dallas and in Boston and in LA and in anywhere else in Ohio, everywhere where we are, than all of us traveling to these centers. Please give us a chance too. Number 3, we are moving on. Registrars. Who is doing it? Okay, you said people there, but this must be seen to be fair. The involvement, because this can be a big loophole when we are not all involved and then they start announcing results. And we know the consequences of results of elections not being fair. It can lead to bloodshed. We have to be very protective of this, and diaspora can be a loophole. There'll be other points as we talk, as we move on. But once again, back to your question, Captain. Identification is very crucial, and registration centers, and we're going to keep on pushing it slowly by slowly. Our purpose here is to make sure this little opening will work, but that is not the end of it. There's a lot more, a lot more. Don't just make it a token behavior. It is real. Let's move on.
Thank you. Dr. Ndiango, Dr. Shiri, the chairperson of OVC, tell us something a little bit about, a little more on the documents that we require. You are our chairman. What are you doing about this? Are you on mute? I can't hear you.
Mute.
Thank you, Captain, for that question. And I must thank Professor Ndiagui for clearly mentioning that, the Kenyan ID is the mother of the passport and not the other way around. The origin of the Kenyan passport comes from the Kenyan ID. In fact, you cannot get a passport without the ID. So the ID is the primary document. And as he has correctly said, we are appealing to IBC and in extension, our parliament to endorse the fact that a Kenyan with an ID anywhere, a valid Kenyan ID anywhere, is an instrument or identification that is valid. We have already put that as one of our leading petitions. They already know about it. They're aware that we are waiting for a feedback on this. And they have informed us that in the coming week or so, we will be getting some information regarding this particular petition. So, as OVC during the mapping that they were doing last month, we sat with them. We discussed with them all these things. In fact, we told them that by continuing to insist that it is only a passport that is needed, we are aware there are very, very many Kenyans that do not have a valid passport right now because of various issues. Some have already applied for the passport. And the government is also aware there are some logistical issues, some bureaucratic issues in people getting passports. So in a way, if this issue of the passport is not cleared up, it is going to disenfranchise a lot of people. So they are aware about this particular situation. We have already made them aware that by continuing to insist that only a passport is required, it is a way of actually discriminating a lot of people. And participation may not be full. So they are aware about that. OVC and other stakeholders have made this very, very clear that as we all know, the power of the Kenyan ID is very, very strong. And that is what we need to really use as the basis. Yes, if somebody doesn't have a passport, they can then use an ID. That's all that we are saying. In the event that somebody does not have a valid passport, then they can use a valid Kenyan ID.
And the Captain, let me follow that a little bit and say the issue of the Kenyan passport, which is valid now, on December 31st, to the best of my knowledge, and I hope I am wrong on this one, we are supposed to have e-passports. Many of us have even the old ones. So in other words, by December 31st, most of us are ineligible to vote if we are only using the e-passports. Look, this is serious business. If you're really serious about diaspora voting, the government should be making it easier for us to vote, not making it very difficult for me to vote. Let me identify myself as a Kenyan, and the Kenyan ID is good enough. And my passport, whether it is E or not, it is good enough. So one or the other, or any other form of document that shows I'm a Kenyan, even my birth certificate should be enough for me to be able to vote.
Thank you so much, Daktari. Thank you so much, Professor Ndiangui. And thank you so much, Fiona. We'll be back and we will discuss a little bit more. If we are to tell the members of parliament to change a few laws, a few rules that require to be changed, then it is important for us to do so. This is the Trumpet of Hope, and it is important to note that we are discussing about the registration of voters in the diaspora by IEBC. They promised that we are going to do they will be coming over to the US, in particular on the 17th of January this month. That's about 2 weeks from today. Actually, 2 weeks from today, 12 days from today. So if you're in Seattle, you're supposed to maybe fly or drive to LA, because that is where the registration center is. The other registration center is in Washington, D.C. The other registration center is in New York, according to the current electoral laws, the IBC policies, and it is important to mention that. Now, my question and my worry is, in the next 2 weeks, somebody who is in Alaska and is an eligible voter to vote in Kenya, will he or she be able to travel to LA or Washington, D.C. or New York to go and vote? I, in Texas, for me to go to Washington, D.C., it will cost about $400 a flight, and I'll need maybe to spend somewhere and get a vehicle from the airport to the Washington, D.C. or to New York. In total, it might cost about $600 or $700 if I book the flight now. So in the next 2 weeks, the weather is also itch. It is snowing somewhere in Washington, in Oregon, and you know how many Kenyans are in Oregon and Washington, D.C. Is it possible for the President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta, is it possible for you, just like my friend Honorable Amos Kemunya is pushing for a parliamentary sitting, a special sitting to change the political party's bill and to discuss it, and you sit even at midnight? Is it possible for you to sit even at past midnight to think about the voters in the diaspora? and make it possible for somebody who is in New York, or for somebody who is in Minnesota, or for somebody who is in Washington, Seattle, to vote or to register there. If at all they don't have a passport that is current, it is not their fault. It is because of the process that has been so hard for them to get these documents. Is it possible for them to use a valid ID card and maybe the old generation passport, if at all it is still there? The only thing that I need is to present myself and have my do the fingerprinting and take the photo and feed the information in the IEBC kit, and that is that. But there has been a worry because of voter fraud, electoral process fraud, and that is the issue that brings a lot of issues. Here in the US, we vote by mail. Is it possible for maybe us to vote by mail? How that will be possible, only God knows, and when, only God knows. Fiona?
Yes,
you are the .com. Talk to these people.
Yeah, I know that issue came up in the meetings where multiple people actually had questions and concerns about us doing, the US is very advanced when it comes to voting. There's the mail-in votes. And I think in future, they did promise us that probably we can look into that. I was impressed by a question where someone said, could the Kenyan IEBC team kind of look at other countries that have been particularly successful in effective voting processes, like the US, where there's multiple ways and channels to make sure people can access the polling stations. I think that's how we see a lot of fraudulent voting or stealing of votes. It's when there's voter suppression. Mm-hmm. And I think in the US, we talk about voter suppression a lot. And I think that's what we are seeing now with us being diaspora. It's voter suppression, mm-hmm. because it's the limitations that are so many to where we cannot actually get to the polling station. And that's what we need to do, is remove the limitations and the barriers for people to get there. Hopefully in future, that's something that we can look into and be flexible to move with the times, because I know that's one of the things that the commissioner said, that, we need to just forgive them because in terms of technology and everything, we're still a little bit behind. So I think that's gonna frustrate a lot of people, but we still stand on this hope that it's the first one, and let's see how from this we're gonna get better. But so far, it's still very rigid and limiting. But voter suppression is something that we need to truly work on.
Thank you so much. Before I come to the chairman of OVC, allow me to say, now that the political parties and the big wigs have started strategizing and even setting up their political drivers, maybe we can ask them to fight for the diaspora voters. Bwana Nderito Mureithi is my friend, and he was given the opportunity to direct and lead the Raila team. And then the UDA, Bwana Deputy, I remember interviewing the deputy many years ago, how he was the Minister for Agriculture. And he's a very sharp, smart man. Very sharp and smart. We have the Bwana Mudavadi Musalia and Bwana Kalonzo and the team. They met yesterday and they are strategizing on how they will have one person on that particular front. And others who have not even come out. I know we have Kenyans in the diaspora who are participating in the presidential elections, and I think the voters in the diaspora are just being prepared to vote for the presidential election. As per now, there's a lot that needs to be done. Bwana Chairman.
Yeah, thank you. Captain, for leading us into that. I just want to piggyback to what my sister Fiona just talked about earlier, about ensuring that we fully help and access to Kenyans to register and to vote, and make it easy. Because as you very well know, we were even thinking way back, Kenyans are very good at sending money to Kenya, and that money is well received. M-Pesa is one of those technologies that was created actually in Kenya and developed in Kenya, and now it is spreading worldwide. So as far as technology, if we can be able to send money to Kenya fairly, very, very well, up to every single cent to the person you are sending to, how about just a voter election card? So we know that if there is a will to actually introduce mail-in ballot, it does not require a lot of technology. We already have it. We can be able to do it. It just requires political will. Because the problem is we Kenyans, we sometimes are very distrustful of each other. We need to develop that trust. That trust. If we can be able right now to send money to whatever city and town in Kenya, and it arrives there, it tells me that even sending a good ballot way back to Kenya can be very, very easily done. We only need to ensure that we trust one another in what we are doing, and we can be able to do it.
Professor
Even that can be something that can be achieved very, very soon. Maybe in the next election, it will be possible, but it is still something that we can be able to do at any one time.
Professor Ndiangwe.
Yes, the chairman said it correctly. Where there's a will, there's a way. We are working to make it work, it will work. Let me lead something. On December 18th, and I repeat, December 18th, the chairman of IEBC in London, addressing a delegation of the diaspora people there, said they are going to send people to different centers in the UK. That is in record. All that we are asking, and we have done the population studies, Professor Kefa Otiso and others have done that. We are saying our population of Kenyans is congregated in about 7-8 centers. Number 1, Minneapolis. Number 2, Seattle. Number 3, Boston. Number 4, Houston, Dallas area. Number 5, we also have Atlanta. Number 6, we have Kansas City, that area of the Midwest. Then maybe one city in Florida, Orlando, or any other at the center there. All these places, we can send individuals to go and register people there. What else would they be doing in Washington or in New York, which they cannot do in Dallas, which they cannot do in Boston, where they'll get thousands of people? And remember this, Captain, the way the system right now is, it requires me to travel at least twice to Washington or to LA or to New York. First of all, to go and register myself as a voter, then also to go and vote. And in between, I'm also supposed to go and check the registrar, the book, or the register, that my name appears there. 3 times. Are you kidding me? I'll lose my job. They don't want me to lose my job through trying to vote there, through trying to get somebody in there. They can make it easy for us, and we have done the statistics even now. And you rightly said, if it takes the executive order, if it takes parliament, we're going to follow that up. We are not antagonistic. In fact, we are lucky. I want to commend a person like Commissioner Nyangaya and Commissioner Madheko Adeli and Joyce, the people who came here. They're very good people. They listen and we exchange ideas. And they understand what we are saying. They're not stupid people. The way the system is now, they know it is going to capture very few people. And we need to make it work even now to have more people. Otherwise, it is discriminatory, it is restrictive, and we cannot get anywhere with the way it is right now. And it will be too expensive if they expect all of us to go to Washington, New York, or LA. We can make it work. The system is possible. We have what we need. Like Professor said, Dr. Shuli said, we created M-Pesa. we can create proper ballots that can get there. We can do the work lightly. Yes, we are not that far behind in technology.
Thank you so much. We have 10 minutes to finish this program, and it has been so good. It's a nice discussion, and I want to give Fiona an opportunity. I know she is in charge of such a huge group of voters. In Kenya today, there is that feeling that people don't want to go and vote. It doesn't help them. When they started the registration, the other day, there was a low voter registration. When they were doing the elections, the by-elections, there was such a low voter turnout. I don't know what we have to do as Kenyans, either in Kenya or even in the diaspora, to entice, or rather to push people, or rather to encourage people to be so patriotic to participate in the civic process in their country.
Well, I'll ask a question, but it's a rhetoric question. I think, isn't it understandable that people don't want to vote? And the reason being that we've had leaders who've let people down so many times. I think poor leadership and poor governance could be part of the problem of why people don't want to vote. Mm-hmm. I believe that a lot of people have lost hope, or at least we rotate the same leaders every election, the same leaders who go into office and not deliver. So I think people have this hopelessness of, I'm still going to vote for the same leaders. We're still going to have the same outcome. I think part of change is starting to see new faces and the youth. For instance, for me, a lot of the politicians who are in power right now are people who were in power even when I was a baby. Mm-hmm. I have the same leaders running for office since I was a baby, and I'm in my third decade. So I think, when will the youth come into power? When are the current leaders going to trust the future leaders, which is the young people? They're supposed to be in office as mentors for future leaders, not as people who are going to die in office when they're 99. Then who mentors the young people? So I think part of encouraging people to go to vote is also within leadership seeing change and transformation. We can encourage people to go vote, but what do you do with people who've lost hope, or people who are discouraged about leadership and governance in our country? I think a lot of people are patriotic, but when it comes to voting, people want to know that their vote is going to count in a positive way. So I am a proponent of starting to see new faces, younger faces. We are capable of leadership just as much as leaders who have been in office for so many years and decades. I think it's time for them to make room for us to sit at the table as well.
Thank you so much. That's powerful. That is powerful and very important. We have some young leaders, and sorry to say, some of them have let us down. So I don't know what we are going to do to ensure that the young people who get to parliament, and even to MCAs, or even to Senate, or even to the women rep who are young, they get there and they become vibrant, and they focus in ensuring that they become good leaders. Anyway, some of them have really let us down to an extent of the Speaker of the National Assembly getting very annoyed with some of them and shouting at them even in Parliament. I feel so discouraged about that. But Professor Ndiangui, as a leader, I don't know, we have so many Kenyans who are participating in the elections from the diaspora. They are going to participate in Kenya. I don't know what you have to tell. I don't know what we have to do with them, or rather to tell them as they prepare for the elections. I know we will not participate in electing them, in voting for them, but maybe there is something that you can advise them.
Yes, thank you very much. Captain, before I even answer that question, I want to say this. When I look at Fiona talk and the many other young people, mm-hmm. These are not future leaders anymore. They are the leaders today.
Sure.
They have the voice. They should be given a chance. I know there are people who may have made mistakes, whether they are young. crime has no age. Corrupt people will be there, young or old. That doesn't matter. But we have good young people we can train. And one thing I admire about One Voice Consortium is the empowerment of the youth. As you can see, you meet other groups, but among the first people that came is the president, the director of operations, and the chairman of the youth. This is a message we are sending to you. I and many other people in the diaspora, we all send money to people, and it is that money goes to people. Like in my village, I set up so many things I do for them. Those people, when I get more involved in the elections, I'll tell them, this is who I support. They listen to me too, because they know I'm genuine. I support them. Dr. Shuri does that, many other people. And some of our people up there, like Koisaba, they'll be here, others are there. We do have a message. Don't fear the diaspora vote. We are going to build a more enlightened, and we're going to have that civic education. There were arguments before that the diaspora people don't know. Now technology has improved. I get to know more about Kenya every single day. I'm always Kenyan. I know what's going on. I try as much as anybody else. We are in contact. I live here physically in Florida, but mentally I'm always in Kenya. Every day, there's not a single day I don't contact you. So I have people we communicate who advise me there, and I advise there. So we have a number of people. Let us open it up, like the president said. Let us trust one another. Let it be fair, because the worst thing I can say here, in the last elections, there were areas, I don't know, I'm not going to accuse anybody. I had people in places like Tharakanithi votes have not arrived. I hope this time it will not be diaspora votes have not arrived. I'm not saying there was elections, irregularities are not my business, but I'm saying we must also protect that. That's why we are a little bit cautious in the way we walk, that at the end of the day, the elections from the diaspora must be seen to be fair. In fact, one of the things we have requested the people is the voting be done at the station, the announcement of the results be done at, whether it's in Washington or in LA, announced there on the spot. Don't doctor them on the way wherever.
In flight.
Those things, there are many things. We have 12-point agenda, and we are working very well. We are getting responses from the commission and from everybody else. The good thing is there are people, they listen, we talk together. There are restraints there. The parliament has put some restraints there. We need to break those barriers so that the elections are seen to be free and fair. There's not just token group. We are doing it right. And these people, whether they got the Kenyan ID or their passport or whatever, we are Kenyans. And so long as I can find a way of proving I'm a Kenyan, give me a chance to exercise my democratic right as a Kenyan, because the results done there, where they're affecting my brothers and sisters in the village, they're affecting me too. If they make good governance, I don't have to be sending money for food every day.
Thank you. And now, there are some discussions that are going on because many people think that the political parties and the big wigs will either push for the diaspora to vote, or maybe they would not wish them to vote because maybe they may sway the results in one direction or the other. Do we have a national political goodwill?
Let me mention something there. It is not their choice. It's my right as a Kenyan to vote. Whether you want me to vote, you think I'm going to vote for somebody else, I am exercising my democratic right as a Kenyan. Don't put restrictions just because you think I'm not vote for you. I'm exercising my right as a Kenyan. And don't judge me because they have based it on tribes and nonsense like that. I'm way beyond that. We are going to train people like Viona and the other youth and everybody else. We're going to vote. We're not even asking for favors at all. We are asking for rights. Make it easy for me to exercise my right as a Kenyan. And all my rights is being able to determine who is in governance. It's a democratic country. That's my right. It doesn't matter what they want. It doesn't matter. We disagree with others. I vote, for whoever I want to vote for. You vote for somebody you vote for. We are still friends. We are still Kenyans. It doesn't matter. It's our rights we are demanding. It is not favors.
Chairman, you're on mute.
Mute.
Chairman, you're on mute.
Sorry, one of our resolutions and petitions that we have sent to IEBC and in extension to the parliament is that the diaspora needs also to be involved in election monitoring. And I repeat this again, election monitoring and observation. Why? Because we want to make sure that every vote, whether in the diaspora or back home, the whole process is fair and free, so that elections can be accepted by our population. Because, as you well know, we here in diaspora are, we want to make sure that we have a safe country. We want to make sure that we have a country that is united. Why? Because look at the amount of money that we send every year. Mm-hmm. The diaspora right now is actually the top foreign exchange earner of our country. And I want to send this message to our leaders back home. The diaspora is interested in a safe, working country. And that is why we are saying that we have a stake in these coming elections, the stake of having a free and good country. That is why we are sending money back home. If we can be able to be sending investment back home, who does not want that investment to be safe? Mm-hmm. The diaspora wants all that they are sending back, the investments that they are sending back, to be safe, to have governance in a country that is working well, and that has good economy and manufacturing, healthcare, education, and all those things that make a country work better. That is why we have a stake in this coming election. But our stake is we produce good leaders. Good leaders. And we are asking our people to follow the manifestos of these people very, very clearly. Examine them. Evaluate what they are saying they are going to do. Evaluate even their track record. Where have they been? What have they done? And what are they going to do? So let us examine what they are saying they're going to do. Let us examine what they have done before. And most importantly, let us see how they're going to involve the youth, because the youth is the future. And as professors just mentioned, let us make sure that even the youth are encouraged to get into the leadership positions so that we can be able to be united. The diaspora has a stake in this coming election, and our stake is to make sure that it works well, because we are sending money back home, and we would want to make sure that our investments and the future of our children and their children is secure. That is the only interest that we have. We don't care where the next president is going to come from, whether it is going to be from the east, west, south, or north, or central, but it is a Kenyan whose heart is to lead Kenya in the right way. That is all that the diaspora wants.
Thank you so much. Fiona, I know you have a few words as we get to winding up. Thank you so much. I know UAE is well tuned. Anastasia, thank you. Monica Bukinya from Colorado, but right now in Tigoni. Limuru. David Jenga, thank you so much. Now, there's this issue as we prepare to bring Fiona here. There's this fear that maybe those parties that are well financed, they may decide, okay, I can sponsor a few people to go and register to vote in the elections or in the voting centers. I can volunteer. I can go and finance people to go if it is in Washington. I can finance people. And this is political corruption. We fight corruption. And we say, so and so is so corrupt. And I think that Kenyans, Wakenya wenyewe, the locals, are becoming also very corrupt. Because if we are being paid by politicians to sing for them, to vote for them, or rather to sell our votes in whatever way, that is corruption. And that is why when they get to parliament, they'll just be fighting. Yesterday there was war in parliament because somebody said that so-and-so is sharing money, is bribing members of parliament with 100,000 Kenya shillings, only for her to say, no, I was giving them lollipops. Kwa nini watoto wanapatiwa lollipops kwa bunge, jameni? You know, it's so unfortunate. So, Bwana David Jenga, I wish you the best as maybe you... I will travel to all countries to advocate and assist where I can to have people register. Thank you so much, David. Here we are apolitical, so if you are in this particular wing, we don't mind. We have time we'll have to support every candidate, be it Azimio, be it UDA, be it T, whatever, be it PNU. We don't mind. We'll support everybody and we'll give a room to each and every person to share their ideas. Molo Wilson, New Dawn, we are way ahead in technology. So Mary Wairimo says, so true. Reach out to us in those big cities, making sense. Most people have old generation IDs. Those who relocated before they were 18 have no Kenyan IDs. Traveling to the embassies, especially in America diaspora, is not possible. Yes, it is possible, but it's not easy. It's not easy. Lawrence Larry, thank you so much. Peana salamu kule, unajua ni wapi. And make sure that you bring them here so that we can have a discussion. Sawa sawa. Mola Wilson, can we talk about possibilities? Yes, we can vote by mail or online. That is something that maybe will be discussed by the team as they continue. Mary Wairimo, thank you so much. Naima Thomas says, Paul Sifa, Mtoto Angelina, might be more than 700 to go and vote, or register and to vote in these cities that have been registered as per now. Paul Sifa is in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, you see, for you are easy because you can be able to drive from Atlanta to Washington. I don't know how long it will take you to drive to Washington, and then you drive the second time to go and check and verify your details on the registered in the register of votes, and then the third time you go and vote. You must be so patriotic, I'm telling you. Masiwa DK, thank you so much. Joseph Ondieke says, maybe they should consider other forms of IDs to make sure that all Kenyans vote, accept the USA documents. If somebody has a USA passport and he's a Kenyan, it's valid. If he has the old generation passport, if he had an ID that has a photo, then at the end of the day, just get the voters in the biometrics. Na mutupati hizo biometrics tufanyie kazi. You don't have to come to bring all these people from Kenya. Wakuje, najua budget. Fiona ama ni vipi, yeah? Don't you think that we can do this?
We can. I think we can.
Yes, in fact, Captain, that was one of our requests. That one was one of our resolutions and petition that IBC should actually train the Kenyans in the diaspora to be involved in the actual election duties and activities. So it is one of those things that we have put up there. And we hope that they are going to agree to our request to train people in the diaspora in those activities. In fact, it's going to cut some of their budget because we are already here. So we will not need to travel all the way from Kenya. And some of us may be able to, we might just be able to accept whatever fees or whatever payments that they are going to give, as long as we are involved in the process.
Thank you so much. Our final comments, Fiona, let's start with you, and then we go to Professor, and then we wind up with Dr. Shiri.
So for me, I'm going to say something in regarding to just comparing two different political climates. In the US, the political leaders fundraise to get funds to run their campaigns. And in Kenya, it's the other way around. Political leaders pay people to win votes. I think that's a very wrong way of doing things. I think for leaders who want to sell progression and to say they want to advance countries or counties or where they want to lead, paying people to vote for you is actually perpetuating poverty mindset. It's actually keeping people in poverty, and it's regressive. If you genuinely believe you're qualified to be a leader and you trust yourself as a leader and you believe that you can help people, then you should do things in the proper way. You should fundraise, you should not bribe people, and you should actually go in office and make change. And in regards to diaspora voting, I want to encourage the young people to actually know that their voice matters. Civic education is important, especially for young people, because a lot of us, as we came here when we were so young, we're a little bit disconnected from home. So some people may not feel like their voice matters, but our voice matters, because one day we may want to go home. And even if we don't go home physically, it's part of our duty to build our country, because we're in America because America is very successful, but people built this country. People played a role in building this country and making it successful. So we can do the same so that way one day our country can be a first world country. But we have to have buy-in. We have to be proud to be Kenyan, and we have to have that loyalty to our country as well. So I'm encouraging young people that even if there's so many limitations and inconveniences this election, and maybe some people will not be able to engage, what about still being active enough to where by the next election, we know who's running for office. We are encouraging more young people to go if they're qualified, and we actually show up in numbers to make sure we in diaspora are voting the right leaders in as well. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Fiona. And for those who don't know, Fiona is based in Texas. She is a champion for, let me give you a chance before you wind up to say what you do for the youth and for women.
Okay, yeah. So I am one of the youth league leaders for OVC. And I also work with women who've gone through abuse. I'm all about women empowerment and gender-based issues, where we talk about abuse and how to deal with issues of abuse in our societies and in our communities. And for the youth, I'm passionate about youth empowerment as well, in encouraging youth to be leaders and to not be afraid to take on leadership roles.
Thank you. And you're also very dear to fashion.
Yes. I am actually an image consultant, a certified image consultant. I can dress everybody if they need someone to help them dress.
Oh, that is interesting. I'm going to side chat you. Thank you. Professor Ndiangwi, all the way from Florida.
Now, how you make me come after Fiona? You know, it becomes really difficult, but that's okay. I'll try. Fiona, I'm always honored to see you, because I know you represent a group all of us know is the hope of the country, is the hope of our people. And once you continue doing what you're doing, we really feel that there's hope in future. But let me say this. We are not asking you to do things that have not been done. Countries which are less economically advanced as Kenya have already done this. Senegal started this in 1993. Botswana started it in 1997. Mozambique has done it. It can be done in those countries. So it's just to make sure that the modalities of doing it are properly done. I want to tell the people in Kenya and the leaders that we have, don't be afraid of the diaspora vote. We're going to vote the best way we know how, the best possible leaders, and we're going to exercise our right. The universality of the right to vote does not come easily. So what I want to say is this. We're going to keep on asking, and you have those 12 points we have asked, and there are many other demands or requests we're going to make together with the IEBC and other people. We may not achieve them all. We will accept. Just like we have told all the commissioners, and Justice Nyang'aya, Justice Nyang'aya, wherever you are, and Commissioner Madenge and Chebukati and everybody, please know this. We'll work with whatever we have, because this must work. We have fought for it for so long. So whatever will succeed, we'll use it. but you continue asking to make it better and better and better. We'll work together. Finally, I want to say this. We are here as one Voice Consortium, coming from about 80 organizations or so. But there are very many organizations I've seen flyers. Kenyans Diaspora Forum, others in Europe, others all over, Akidoi with David Ogega and others. There are people doing all sorts of things. Let's continue. We are not competitors. It doesn't matter who achieves what. It is not who achieves it, it's what is achieved. In fact, our interests are together. We are partners in all this. We are not competitors. We are a team. And we encourage IEBC not just to work with one voice, work with every person there, out there, work with all of them. We're just lucky we have so many of us together. We are very passionate about this. We're going to make it work. And wherever there is a will, there's a way. And we hope that this was not just a token gesture, that they meant it. We'll try to open all the hurdles. We are still concerned that, the embassies are still manned by people who are employed by a government and they may be influenced. That's why we need to be monitored very carefully, because in absence of a free and fair election, it could be bloodshed. We have seen it happen before. It would be sad to lose another life when you're campaigning for anybody. It will be a disaster. I want to say this finally, the captain. People spending money on elections, whichever they want. If they're going to sponsor people to travel to Washington or to LA and New York, that's their business. We cannot limit them, because democracy is exercised in different ways. But I want to tell the people, please don't be bought. Don't sell your heart for something that's cheap. Like, it's bad. But if they're spending the money on you, that's their business, because you're going to make them get to the positions. But how it's done and what you do, please be free to exercise your right. And these forums, Captain, we thank you for opening them to us. You have other groups, not just us, next week and the other week, another week, because education is important. We'll spend time on it because it means a lot to us and to our children and the children of our children, our country, which we love very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Ndiangui. If you're in Florida, Professor Ndiangui is based there, and he's a great Kenyan working very, very hard to ensure that the young people feel at home and they enjoy. He is very passionate about the young people, and that is why he had to ensure that we have Fiona here and others. Thank you so much. When you get back down there, say hello to Mrs. Professor.
I will.
Chairman.
And Fiona calls me daddy.
Oh,
you know
beautiful.
that. I have very many children like that,
Thank you.
They're my children.
Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, Prof, for that good message that you sent out there. Mine finally is just to remind our viewers and your viewers, Captain, and also the Kenyan leaders back home. The Kenyan diaspora in 2019 sent over 285 billion Kenya shillings. Last year, even despite COVID pandemic, which we have not even discussed here, even despite that COVID pandemic in which Kenyans were suffering, Kenyans in the diaspora sent a record 330 billion Kenya shillings. Mm-hmm. We overtook all our foreign exchange earners of coffee, tea, horticulture, and even tourism. So what we are telling the Kenyan leaders is that, please, these people who are able to do this so passionately, give them a chance. Give them a chance to exercise their civic duty. Give them access to voter registration. Give them access to elections so that they can get, they can be able to participate in getting better leaders. Because the idea is this: if the Kenyan diaspora can be able to see that we have secure and good leaders for our country, even these remittances can be doubled. The remittances can be doubled. And if they are doubled, we are talking of the GDP of the country even going higher. The financial security of the country even being stronger. We are looking even at diaspora having other structured methods of investing back home, because even this money that is being sent it is just maybe 10% of what the diaspora can be able to send. But if we have a good economy, good leaders, and good financial economic base of everything working very well, and financial security, people are going even to invest much, much more back home. And that is why the diaspora is so much keen on making sure that they're involved in the election, so that we can have leaders that have a passion and a goal for this country. So even as we head towards voter registration, we are also recognizing that voter education is also very important. Let people know the purpose of elections. Let them know how they're going to know that this is a good leader, and what's the difference between this leader and that leader. Let them look at their manifestos. Let them look at their records. Let them look at what they have been able to do before, and what they are aspiring to do. And more important, how are they involving the people at the grassroots, people in their areas? How are those communities benefiting from their leadership? Because there are people that are being elected every year. Are they being elected because of a good development record, or because they are just using they're buying votes? In fact, when we hear about buying of votes, we are very depressed, because we know buying of votes means that the election has actually been stolen. So we want to make sure that election is free and fair. And that is why we are asking leaders, please do not buy votes. Let your development record be what people are going to elect you on, because you are a good leader. You are going to transform the country in a better ways. So the diaspora, we are appealing to diaspora to register in masses. We're going to continue petitioning so that the access to registration and voting is easier. But the bottom line is, let us do with whatever that is there, so that we can be able to elect good leaders. And thank you, Captain, because we are going to bring even other leaders within One Voice and other organizations to be here, and this, so that they can even be able to talk more and we educate our people. Thank you so much for what you do under Trumpet of Hope. We really value this media station as a partner of One Voice Consortium. And we truly know that whatever that we are hoping and dreaming for will be realized in our time. Thank you so much, Captain.
Thank you so much. This has been a beautiful discussion, or rather informational program, because the IBC have decided that it is important, finally, after so many years of promise, because 10 years ago, there was such a promise when the former commissioner of IBC came and went around in the whole country and said, yes, we are going to vote. 10 years later, at least there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I hope that we are going to actualize this. I'm not sure what would prevent us from voting. I'm not very sure what would prevent us from voting. And I hope that everybody is going to participate and to do whatever we have to do. The registration is going to take place on the 17th of January. From the 17th of January all the way to 31st, it will be in at the embassy in Washington, in New York, and also in LA. Like Dr. Jane just mentioned, Dr. Jane Irongo is in Oklahoma, says they also need to know we have a lot of untapped talent abroad that can foster development for our beloved country. Give diaspora a voice. And because I know we sent this message to the people who are in IBC, and even those people who are fighting and championing for the next group of leaders. I sent this to Akina Derito Mreithi and Akina Mwadhi. They are my friends. We worked with them. We campaigned with them years before. And those who are in the UDA, there is so much that is going on. You must give the diaspora people a voice. And we may sound divided like it is right now, but everybody has a voice, whether he's in whichever party. they have a right to be in that particular party because it is a democratic process. But we must assure Kenyans that the election, the voting in the diaspora will be free and fair. And like in the 12 points that have been sent by OVC, let the elections in the diaspora, let people use whatever available document they have. If they don't have a valid passport, can they use an ID, the ID that they had? If at all they don't have an ID, can they use a passport? Whatever document they have, then at the end of the day, then we'll say that we are not discriminating. Sarah Monyeri, thank you so much, my sister. Great information has been shared here today. Thank you so much, Captain, for hosting this powerhouse. Congratulations, Sarah, and I know a Jumbolist is right in this, and we are so proud of you and your team. Jumbolist.com. Mother Jepkos Gay is in Lebanon. Good morning. I know you're also voting right there. Mary Lincoln, thank you so much, and Poleni Sana for the loss of your dad-in-law, Banjogu Jeroge, my friend. Poleni Sana, and even as you go to lay him to rest in Karimamutume, Bwana awe nanyi. Sarah says a free and fair election is what all Kenyans want. As much as we want to vote, we also want to make sure that our ballots are safe and that election observers are trusted. Thank you. And then Itza, somebody say, Itza wrote a message here, says IBC should identify 2 people in each state, empower them to register Kenyans within that state with whatever Kenyan ID available. And I think that is the most important thing that we can do right now. Kenneth Amolo saying, thank you for the panelist, very informative. And then Nancy, thank you, says, I am attuned. Asanteni sana, the Diaspora One Voice. Kwaherini, have a very good night. Let us look forward to next week. And hey, tupatane registration. I will go to either, I don't know, Fiona. I don't know whether I'll go to Washington or I'll go to LA. I checked the cost by flight today. It was about $500. Kulipa ndege kwenda kuregister kuvote. Jameni, Derito Moreidi and
Captain, before we close, I want to tell the other groups, come to one voice. Unity is strength. We are not saying you destroy your organization, but when we work together, we have a stronger voice together. And by the way, besides IBC, besides all this voting, One Voice is doing a lot, as the chairman said, about education, tech centers, everything. We empower every part of our country. We are so proud of what we have achieved together, and you'll continue doing more. Please, let's team up together for the good of our people. Thank you, Captain, again.
Thank you so much. Chairman, thank you so much. Fiona, I'll come for the image consultation.
Yeah, Fiona is the expert in that one.
And by the way, did I hear you mention Kenneth Amolo? Kenneth Amolo.
Yes, Kenneth Amolo is here. Says thank you for the panelist. Very informative.
I am so proud. Kenneth Amolo hosted me very well in Hawaii. He is in Hawaii, like if that is the same Kenneth Amolo in Hawaii. I'm so proud for that young man.
Yes.
He's a member of One Voice Consortium team.
I see Dr. Chiro in IBC says listening, and thank you so much. And I have another message from my friend, Honorable Jeremiah Ngayo Keoni, the Member of Parliament from Daragwa, is also listening to this program. He's my good friend. We did very many programs when I was in Shoro FM some years back. I used to hold a wonderful panel with Keoni and Mwadhi and Mudhama, and we used to be very, very tough. And Viscount Kemadhi. Hey, wengine sijui alienda wapi. Munipatie kazi na
Thank you, Captain. I hear you, Honorable Jeremiah Kioni sent you a message.
Yes.
We are sending him back a message to him. Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, please help the diaspora to be able to vote. Expand the access. We want to use just the ID. Have the parliament endorse that Kenyans Diaspora use only the ID. And I know Honorable Kioni can be able to do that.
Yes.
He can whip, if he can whip all the MPs to vote towards that, and the things that the diaspora is asking for, it's going to be easy. He has been here. He knows our struggles. He knows the struggle of somebody living, say, for instance, Texas, going to all the way to DC to register and vote. How much it costs?
True.
That is money that we could be sending back home. That is money that we could be actually sending back home. So what we are saying is, let our MPs realize that we are asking for something that is good for our country. Over to you, Honorable Kioni.
Thank you so much. Anyway, you people have a good night. Thank you so much. It was nice having you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Captain.
Thank you. That was a beautiful program, and I know that you have enjoyed. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to be together with you. And from the studio, my name is Captain Jorogawa Jerry. It was nice having everyone. And in case there is any question, you can send the questions or you can send the messages to the website. I sent the website for the Diaspora One Voice. It is right there. You can send the messages to us and we'll be able to forward those messages. Please check out where the registration is taking place or when in your place, and have the documents ready as per now. Since we may not have any change, have the documents ready and things will be good. So thank you so much to all the viewers, wherever you are. God bless you. And I'm ending my program, that particular part of the program, right there. The rest we are going to do later. So thank you and God bless you. On behalf of our panelists, this is Captain Jorogawa Jerry. Good night and good day to those who are in Kenya.